In this installment of how to use the MACD, let's take a look at some examples here, and we're going to be going back to some of the things we've learned in the previous MACD educational videos. I want to talk about in this example is we're going to be taking a look at a monthly chart which gives you views into an instrument months down the road. One thing we're going to touch on here is the fact that whenever you see the MACD lines move above zero, that generally tends to be a buy signal. So whenever you see this move above zero on the MACD line, that's generally a buy signal. Again, a crossover on the MACD above zero is generally also a good buy signal. It means that momentum continues to the upside. Now the other thing you have to watch for is whenever the MACD lines cross below zero, that tends to be a sell signal or confirmation that momentum is bearish to the downside. So that's an area to avoid if you're long a stock, and again, if you want to short a stock, this is where you know that momentum is to your advantage and the stock could be creeping to the downside. Also in this example, we're going to talk about uniformity, which is when you see that a stock, like in this example, moves below and back above the zero line. So this is uniform U-type formation, this is uniform V-type formation, and this is uniform what looks like a double bottom or a W double bottom back above the zero line. So you have many forms of this uniform activity. All you have to make sure is that you look out for uniform activity above or below the line. So in this particular example, since I have drawn what seems to be uniform activity back above zero line, these are buy signals here. On the flip side, if this was the other way around and they were facing down, then this would be sell signals. So look out for uniformity. Also in this video, we're going to take a look at another phenomenon for the MACD, where you find that the MACD line is trying to move. For example, in this first example here, the MACD line tries to cross over here, which would have been bearish but fails and moves higher. So what you do is that you watch this level here, this node here. So next time the MACD lines both cross below this line here to the downside, then that becomes a sell signal right there. So you have a crossover that failed, so watch that point. The MACDs do their thing. The next time they move back below this line here with a crossover, then that level there is a confirmed sell signal, because now what was the low has been taken out to the downside. So that's a sell signal. The reverse is true whenever you're wanting to go long a stock and the stock initially tries to cross over here, fails. So you watch that level, draw a straight line, which is the green line that I show here. So the next time you find the MACDs coming and breaking above that previous resistance level on the MACD line, so that breakout there, any move above that becomes a buy signal. So we're going to go to the chart so we can see this as a live example on how to use this MACD based on the things that I talk about in this introduction. So in this example, we're going to be taking a look at the Brazilian market, and this is a long-term monthly chart going back to 2001. And right off the bat, I want to talk about the fact that ever since this market moved above zero here, it would stay above zero on the MACD until from 2003 all the way to middle of 2008, which is here. And that would have been good for a price point of, from this level here of about 11,000, go and trade as high as 75,000. But if you're using the MACD above zero as a buy and below zero as a sell, you would have been out of this market based on that entry point somewhere around here in the 5,000. You have at least increased your position by 5 times. So using the MACD just generically from that entry point here above zero, buy, below zero, sell, is also a way for you to consider how you can position yourself. In this particular example, it's very obvious that this would have kept you in this market for many years. Now if you take a look at the crossovers that took place above zero, there was a crossover here and a separation. That was a buy signal, another buy signal. So this would have been an entry point again, which was here. another crossover with a separation here, which would have been this entry point here, another good buy signal. So notice what I was talking about here. Let me show that to you. Here you see that there was this crossover that was going to take place. The MACD made a low right there and moved higher. So the next time you break that line, which is what I was saying is a sell signal, that would have helped you get out of the Brazilian market right there, middle of 2008, which would have been at a time somewhere around there, very close to the high. So that, hope that makes sense. So let me try and show this again. So you have a crossover to the downside attempt and a rally back. So you have the two lines doing something like that. So you draw a line here. The next time they break below that, they come and break below that line. So this here is a sell signal. So that was a sell signal there. That's what I'm talking about. So very important to watch that. Now take a look at this from an uniform activity standpoint. Notice how this looks like a V-type formation. So you moved below zero here, recaptured zero there, and this looks like a very nice uniform action. So that's a buy signal. Uniformity means that it's a buy signal when it moves back above that level. Also notice it did the same thing on the MACD here. This looks like a nice U-type formation here, and also the other line has a nice smooth U-type formation. Hope you can see that. It's very well formed right there. Very uniform activity below and back above. So that makes this period here a confirmed buy point, because you have uniform activity that has been rejected by the market and the stock recaptures higher prices. And so this would have been an entry point there based on what we are learning here, which would have been this area here on this long-term monthly view. Now if you take a look at this high here in early 2012, take a look at how this is uniform action above the line and back below it. So that becomes a sell signal. You would have been able to know that that was a sell signal somewhere here because of that uniform activity above the line and back below it. So that's a sell signal. Also there was a sell signal here back below zero, which happens to be this area here. So just using the MACD. Now remember, we are not looking at other factors. We are just considering the MACD here, and it seems to give us an insight into the market that is interesting. For example, right now if you want to go along the Brazilian market, one of the things you have to consider is, you see this crossover attempt that failed. So you put a line and draw a line there. The next time this MACD breaks out above that, that could be a buy signal. So it comes and tries to cross over here and fails. So draw a line. So this market is not a buy until it breaks out on the MACD above this blue line, which happens to be the most recent MACD crossover failure. So this market is not a buy. So this MACD is telling us even the Brazilian market has yet to confirm upside momentum until it can break out above this most recent crossover failure point there. So the MACD is helping us, try and figure out how to go along instruments and how to position ourselves. Right now we don't see a very strong buy signal in this market, and that's why we should not be rushing to buy any of the commodity based markets, especially based on this MACD behavior. Another thing we can learn from this MACD chart is just the trend line. If you draw a trend line connecting the lows over many years here, once we broke down there, that was a sell signal. Also there's another trend line here. If you draw a straight line connecting the lows, once we broke down that trend there, that was a sell signal. So MACDs can be used for many things. Remember, the MACDs are mainly moving averages. So if the moving averages are breaking a long-term trend, then something is happening in the stock. Eric Moade, good luck, peace, and blessings.